South African live events and entertainment industry is on its knees due to the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown. For about 5 months and counting, professionals ranging from technical crew, suppliers, production companies, artists to the actual venues that host the events have been out of business. Lights SA Red spokesperson, of course, has just spoken to us about part of they've been doing in order to deal with the situation and to ensure that South Africans, in fact, are able to be part of the campaign. Now, lockdown has had a massive impact on an already ailing economy. In the past few days, we've had reports of companies like SAB and Consol suspending major investments. Is it time for the government to push for investment in endeavors that could really impact the economy and jobs rather than prescribed investments? Janina Slawki is the head of investments at Alexander Forbes. She joins me now. Janine, good evening. It's a pleasure to have you with us tonight. Firstly, let's talk about the approach that people are taking when it comes to investments under COVID-19. I imagine a lot more conservative.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Everyone is quite terrified with what's happening in the markets with COVID-19 globally as well as locally. So there is a lot of concern, but obviously you have to try and take a long-term view. If you're a long-term investor, you have to ride out some of this market volatility. Yes, we are seeing some more conservative investment.
What are some of the sectors that have been the most volatile?
Well, anything that's really badly hit by COVID-19. So obviously anything that's seriously in lockdown. Obviously at the moment, alcohol, cigarettes, but anything to do with entertainment, tourism. I mean, we've had some signs of trying to lift certainly interprovincial travel, but still a lot of industries in lockdown and every day struggling to keep going and keep employment open for the employees.
How significant is it that we're now seeing companies that, of course, were part of that investment summit drive, who made their commitments to the country, and now cancelling on those investments? What are the alternatives that we perhaps could be looking at, especially when it comes to developmental investments?
There's a very strong drive from the President's office through the Infrastructure SIDS initiative to drive infrastructure investment. Because everyone agrees. If you look at all of the papers that have been produced from various sectors of the economy in the last few weeks, everything says that if we can start investing into infrastructure, that is what can pull South Africa out of the doldrums that it's now in and create jobs. But obviously, if you're a company that hasn't had income for a good part of the last 5 months, you can't even pay salaries. You can't start saying, and now I will meet a commitment that I made 2 years ago to build a new factory or something like that. We have to expect that in an environment like that, people will not be able to make the investment commitments, the big ones, which can make a difference and actually create jobs. So we're all hanging on in tenterhooks, wanting to have something looking forward that allows us to reopen these ideas of having a big investment.
And I imagine it can't be infrastructure just for the sake of infrastructure. It will be key to determine what kind of infrastructure government invests in and where that infrastructure is.
They've certainly indicated key sectors where they want to make investments. And as you would imagine, there's big sectors such as electricity generation, because we know that if you don't have enough electricity, you can't build a factory, you can't start a new business. Similarly with transport. You can't get your goods to a port or to somewhere where you can actually market it, you're not going to be able to build a factory. So certainly the infrastructure projects that have been spoken about and have been gazetted are very much focused on creating the infrastructure that it would allow other industries to actually start setting up, creating jobs, creating revenue for governments to export